Potatoes. Now if you haven't planted your potatoes yet, it's not too late, and I'm going to tell you why. In this video we're going to have a chat about how to plant your potatoes, how to do it no dig, and the reasons for waiting until it's the right time to plant. And if you stay with me to the end, I've got a special tip. Now the reason I waited so long to plant this year is the mud. The weather this year has been really wet so far this spring, and if you plant your potatoes too early, March, April, and the weather isn't ready to plant, all that's going to happen is the potatoes will just rot in the ground. And that's what happened last year. I planted them in April, it rained all April, and I got one plant, and that didn't produce any potatoes either because there was just too much moisture, too wet. So last year I was trying to plant in the soil that we have here in the plot, which is largely clay, or it was. The ground here is heavy clay. And what I've done over the winter, as you can see, and if you watch some of my early videos you would have seen, is I've changed all my beds to no dig beds. So the new challenge this year is how to plant potatoes in a no dig bed, which is new for me, so I'm going to work that out as we go along. Now this year I'm planting two varieties of potato. Now true to form, I've completely lost the labels, which is absolutely fantastic. They are varieties of Maris Piper and Charlotte, and I'm pretty certain the one here is the Charlotte with the redder colour skin. The ones at the back are the Maris Piper. Now the reason that's important is because of the amount of time it takes each variety to mature in the ground. Now Charlotte potatoes, the redder ones, those are what's known as a second early, and they take around about 100 days to mature. The Maris Piper, they are what's known as a late, and late potatoes, late varieties, they take around 130 days to mature. So it's important to know which is which, so you know when to dig them up from the ground to eat them. And I'll come back to that point later in the video with my top tip. So the first job is going to be deciding where to plant them, and I've got plenty of beds here, but I've got a bit of a plan. So this year, this bed's going to have maybe half of it in potatoes. I don't need loads and loads and loads, so I'm just going to do one row of the first earlies and one row of the main crop, and then I'm going to leave myself some space. I think I'm going to do it this way this year. I'll leave myself some space along here for a third row of something else, maybe beetroot, but that's the plan. So I've just used a hoe to make the two lines in the bed, and that brings me to the first challenge of no dig beds, because as you will see, this is a new no dig bed. So the compost is maybe 2 to 3 inches thick in places, but that's all. Now when I normally dig potatoes in a normal bed, I will put these down about a foot. So they're going to go nowhere near as deep as usual, but that's why there's more compost. I've got 3 extra bags over there. So I'm going to build a little hillock on top of each of these rows. So plan A is going to be to line the potatoes down in each row, and then I'll cover them up with what's here, and I'm going to add some more compost on the top. And then we'll see, because as I say, this is an experiment. I've not tried this before. The reason for planting so deep normally is because you want to plant earlier than this, and they would come up and you protect them from the frost. Now, whilst it's possible here in Yorkshire to get frosts as late as this, I mean early in May now, I've had one as late as May the 16th. I'm hoping this year we won't have any. So if it starts to sprout and it's coming through the compost in a week or two, I'm not going to worry too much. I say, we'll see what happens. It's an experiment, and I can always report back in a couple of months, and we'll just see if we get much of the potatoes. Okay, so I've got potatoes in the 2 row, and again, you can see the depth. It's only shallow until I get the compost on top from the bag. So one thing I want to show you as a tip at this stage is, firstly, I'm only planting the biggest ones that chitted, and this is what chitting is. So you can see there, I've got some eyes at the top of the potato. That will help it grow quicker. And I'm planting the potato in the ground with those pointing upwards, and that's what I've done throughout the row here. So that's in this. The row here will be the Charlotte, and that's the Maris Piper over there. My next step is going to be to cover them over with what's here. I literally just going to do that, cover them up, because I don't want to make it too thin here because this is still suppressing weeds. And then as I say, I've got some more compost to take over and put on top in a minute. So I've just tidied that up with the rake, and I think that'll be fine. So we've got 2 rows there of compost, and frankly it looks very similar to what I would have done with the old style dig in the ground anyway, so that will be fine. So that's me done. My potatoes are in. Now, time for that top tip, and the top tip is take a note of the day you plant your potatoes, because I forget to that every single year. Do you remember back at the beginning I said to know when to harvest your potatoes? 100 days for the second earliest and 130 days for your late. Write down the day today or the day you plant them, and that is how you work it out back to the day you plant. If you forget to do that, you've got frankly no idea. So there you go, that's my house plant potato video. If you found that useful, please do give it a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.